So you can ask any networking question, but what I want to focus on first is the topic was going to be about long-term unemployment, okay? I was out of work 1 week shy of 3 years from 2017 to 2020. Someone raised their hand if they were out longer than 3 years, okay?
Good answer.
All right. So people said, what do you do during 3 years? I had over 212 interviews. Statistically, there is no way Ron Layton should have been hired. I myself went through and was interviewed 5 times in the pit crew to make sure I wasn't doing something wrong, okay? Anybody that knows me knows I'm a man of faith. So God had just picked me up, put me over here, wanted me to do a few things, and one of which was to be able to lead the pit crew when I retired 3 years ago. So let's talk a little bit about being unemployed that long, because men, it can really affect how you feel about your position in the family, okay? You need to pray for that. Women, you need to know your men are working hard to try to get through this. And as a partnership, you need that partnership to help. At one point, my wife was unemployed as well. So at one point, my wife and I were both unemployed 6 months during that period. So we heavily relied on our faith. What I want to tell you is a little bit about my testimony of how did I get through that. I usually tell it one-on-one or in small groups, but I think this is an appropriate forum and an appropriate topic. At about the 1 year mark, I was headed down that depression slide, okay? Any of you that have been out of work a year or more, you kind of know what I'm talking about. So during my prayer life one day, God said, I want you to write down who is Ron Layton. So what do you think I did? I didn't do it, okay? I didn't do it. And God just kept impressing me on my heart, I want you to physically write down who is Ron Layton. So about a month in, I said, okay, God. I took out my pen, I took out my paper, and I said, okay, number one, I'm a Christian.
Did that surprise you?
I don't think so. Number two, I had been married, almost 40 years. Number three, I had 2 beautiful daughters. Number 4, I had 2 beautiful granddaughters. Number 5, I had a whole lot of friends and people that I helped and people that helped me. And number 6, I was an employee. I hope you all hear that. Number 6, I was an employee. That meant every day that I got up, I looked at that list and I said, has that list changed? I can tell you that list has not changed since 2017. Give me a moment. My wife was killed in June, so I'm no longer a husband, widower. But I think the important thing is knowing who you are. A lot of times we get tied up in a job and we think that job is us, but it's not. You have a lot of stuff to give to the world, to your spouse, to your kids, to the community you abound in. I challenge you to go home and sit down, write your own list, whatever that list is going to be. But my guess is being an employee is probably not going to be in the top 2, okay? And if it's not, then when you wake up, figure out what are you going to do on those other things. How, I love the acronym for South Lake Hope, help one person every day. How are you going to help someone? You get to where you're helping other people, all of a sudden your situation doesn't take on such a monumental task, okay? So that's my testimony of how I kept from being depressed the rest of the 2 years. It helped me. So you can do it as well, okay? As was mentioned, I actually went through an interview cycle, 11 interviews deep. It was for an executive position. I'd have about 200 people working for me. Of those 200, 5 had actually worked for me in the past. Okay, so I had an inside track. Now, I knew I was up against an internal candidate. I knew that from the beginning because my inside sources told me. And as I kept going through, my inside sources were like, you're in the top position. I'm like, how can I be in the top position and keep going on? And when it got over, after the 11th interview, they said, we're sorry, but we're going to keep the internal candidate. And at that point, I calmly took a breath and I said, okay, help me understand why it took 11 interviews. And believe it or not, the guy said, because you kept upping the bar every time and we weren't sure the internal candidate had it. What do you think that I thought? I don't want to work for you. That actually was my thought was, if it takes this long and you guys are this wishy-washy on making decisions, God has protected me from going through this from that perspective. But what it did teach me, and I will tell you, a lot of recruiters and job coaches may tell you not to say this. What I would start asking earlier in the interview is, I know that you can't tell me whether or not there's an internal candidate, but do you actually have a system with weighted metrics that can weight me against an internal candidate? Now, I had this myself as a hiring manager for many years. Nobody could say yes to that. And if they cannot say that yes to that, just understand they don't really have a proper mechanism to evaluate you. So as you go through this, be thinking about that, all right? A lot of job coaches will tell you, don't ask that question. Okay, Mark McDonald, well, Glass, don't say that, Ron. I'm like, hey, the reason I did is because I actually lost out 9 times to internal candidates, all right? So after the 4th time in this job search of 11, that's when I started asking that question, because at least made them think, oh, you know, do I actually have this? Or if not, what am I going to do about it? All right? All right, where's it going to go?
Well, I'll take it. You guys, you know I got something I want to say. Now, while we're on the topic of interviewing, guys, do you know how important eye contact is? Do you guys know the dynamics behind eye contact? A lot of times, and you'll hear Ron say this because I've heard Ron tell you guys this before, be yourself, be comfortable in your interview. And Jamie, you and I talked about this before too. Here's what we do, guys. When we are telling a hiring manager what we think they want to hear, we break eye contact with them because we're thinking, we're trying to get our thoughts together. I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm saying maintain eye contact with that hiring manager, that recruiter, whoever it is that you're talking to. It is more important than you know. Now, not everybody has been recruiting as long as I have. Maybe, well, Sarah wasn't a recruiter early on. She's a recovering CPA. But I just had to bring that up. I'm a people I'm sure y'all haven't figured that out yet. But we break eye contact when we're starting to think, and you don't want to say that we're being disingenuous, but if we start telling people what we think they want to hear, we're being disingenuous. So be yourself, share those experiences in line. Our number one word is that R word, and that's relevance. Relationship, yeah, that's my number one word. But guys, when we are ourselves, it makes for a better relationship with who we were able to connect. It's important that we connect if we can. Now, everybody, you know, Kathleen McGregor may not, you know, hey, no, I'm kidding. But I just wanted to bring that up because it's so important. We don't think about it, guys. But keep that eye contact as best we can. Did you? William's got his hand up. Okay. William, here I come.
He's got his own mic.
Oh, you got a mic? Okay.
Oh,
Ooh,
yeah.
yay.
Gave me one. Well, while we're on the subject of interviewing, I actually have 2 comments to share. So my first one is there's this YouTube channel called A Life After Layoff.
Okay.
That that on that channel there was some videos that were recently uploaded that share some very good information about interviewing. So I encourage everyone to check those out, and as well as other videos on there on that channel that you might find to be helpful. And my second comment about it is, since the pit crew always seems to have a massive wait list, I just shared this information with my table earlier, but the Jewish Family Service also has a mock interview program. So the contact person for that is Jason Hopper. His email address is jhopper@jfsdallas.org. So send him an email and request more information about the Jewish Family Service mock interview program. Just make sure when you send him an email to put the words mock interview in the subject line.
Awesome. Thanks. So hi guys, I'm Sarah Jacob. For those of you that I have not met, I feel like I see lots of familiar faces. And it's great after a long holiday weekend to be smiling in front of Elizabeth and others. Okay, so hi. As Foster mentioned, I'm a, quote, recovering CPA. I retired that part of my life a long time ago. But I spent 20 years in Big Four accounting, and I spent the last 6 or so with Thomas Edwards Group. We are a recruiting boutique here in town, and we spend a lot of time talking to accounting and finance professionals and executives and clients. We dabble in HR and IT as well, so pretty much anything back office. So if you're not already connected to our firm, I encourage you to check us out at thomasedwards.com. We've got 70 or so job openings open right now. If any of them look good, fantastic. Oh, you can apply to it right there, or you can find my contact information or any of my fabulous colleagues. Hadley was here earlier, and you guys know a lot of my people. So feel free to reach out to any of us, and we'll get you connected in with the firm and chat through you and your specific circumstances, see how we can help, okay? So 2 things. One, when we're talking about why companies spend so many rounds of interviews, I've got thoughts on that, just talking to my clients and kind of what they're telling me. So number 1 is they don't always have the approved FTE in their budget to hire, but they know it's coming at some point. So they start the process earlier, and it takes lots of rounds because they're just waiting on getting that approval, okay? Think about that. A lot of corporations, as you guys know, for any of you who've been on the budget setting process, a lot of those budgets are getting formed now, right? Between now and November, they get approved in November. They're ready to go by January 1 in a lot of corporate settings. So there should be a lot more activity coming up in the next month or 2 now that we're post Labor Day officially. Because that's when budgets get set, that's when FTEs get set, that's when everyone has that. But a lot of times they don't have that budget when they start interviewing, so they're just starting to go through the process. The second thing is, it's just a world of uncertainty right now, right? Forget politics and all that other stuff. It's just an uncertain world in our world, but also in corporate America. So a lot of companies just are shy to pull the trigger on that final decision. Certainly, internal candidates play a part of that, and that's always, something that you're going to be up against. But remember that if you know somebody internal, that can be your magic, potion. If you can get an introduction or get your resume over to HR, or at least have your resume looked at. But between not getting FTEs approved and just uncertain times right now, that's why it's taking a lot longer. Leaders are hesitant to make decisions, and I would say that's exponentially higher the higher compensation you go, right? So if you're talking about a staff job, an entry job, a senior job, those are great. They are going to make those decisions typically quicker. If you're talking about $150,000 compensation or higher, any sort of management role, any sort of executive role, you can just double the time and effort and number of interviews that it's going to take, because those roles, they've got to have it fit skill-wise. They've got to have the fit culture-wise, and so everything just takes a lot longer. So that's my thoughts on that. Going back to eye contact and interviewing, I mean, absolutely, right? This is not rocket science. Make eye contact, smile, all that good stuff. But when you think about being genuine, you still want to be yourself. Now, you want to be your best self. You want to be your polished self. You want to be your most presentable self when you're going through these interviews. But you absolutely 100% have to be genuine. You have to be yourself, because if they hire you and they're hiring who they thought they were going to hire, but that's not really you, because you were trying to guess what they wanted to hear, you were trying to blow smoke up experience that you don't actually have, any of that, it's not going to be a good long-term solution anyway. They'll be disappointed, or you'll be disappointed, and then you'll find yourself in the exact same spot 90 days later, and that's exhausting. Nobody wants to go through that again. So be genuine, be yourself. That's my thoughts.
That's a good thought. As I walk over to my buddy Elizabeth Hunter, who William. Oh, good, yeah. Cool. William's going to be the mic runner. This lady that you guys are looking at right now is Elizabeth Hunter. She is a very senior level HR executive. She has been in all of it over, I'm not going to say how many years she's been at it because I don't know myself. But I bet you she's got some good stuff to say, and I'm going to shut up and let you do it.
Thank you, Foss. Can
She
you
got
hear
a
me?
good outfit, yeah. God bless America.
Stars on her boots, too.
Stars and stripes.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Hunter. I'm a global human resources leader, and I'm seeking fractional, part-time, and project work. I have some insight from my years in HR regarding the why so many interviews, and especially if you are a leader, an executive, or in a back office function, HR, finance, communications, legal, you may be serving in a business partner role, and part of the interview process may be to set up that candidate for success by giving all the different leaders who are going to work with that person some skin in the game and some insight, and getting to meet the candidate instead of saying, oh, here's Elizabeth, we've assigned her to be your business partner, good luck. So that's why I've reconciled myself to the fact that I'm going to interview at least 5 times, because that will set me up for success ultimately when I get the offer.
Excellent. Any questions, you guys, as we're talking?
Oh, we got one back here. Okay.
Oh, good.
I'm Christine White. I'm looking for an accounting position. I have a question about interviews. Most of my interviews have been over Teams or Zoom, and it's really hard for me to know where. I know you're supposed to look at the camera, but I mean, sometimes the interviewer's eyes are all over the place. So how do you maintain eye contact in that situation?
You do it just like you were in person, okay? Your goal is to look at one candidate and then scan, but even if they're looking all over the place, you try to maintain eye contact the best that you can. And I know a lot of times it's hard when you're on Zoom. You might just make a smiley face and put it over your Zoom camera so you know where to focus. Because a lot of times that's difficult, right? I used to have a really large monitor, which made it hard for me to get the camera in the right position. Many of you are, I think, in the same position. But go ahead, keep focusing just like you were in a in-person interview, and keep scanning, especially the person who asked, but don't forget to look at the others. Yes.
Yeah, and to add to that, if you want to practice your interviews on Zoom specifically, that Jewish Family Service mock interview program that I just shared earlier, that's a great way to do that. So I'd highly recommend signing up for that if you actually want to really get good at Zoom, and they will. Don't worry, they will give you feedback on that. So that's some information about that.
Yeah, I was going to say practice, right? And looking directly at that camera. This is something that I've had to do when I first started my podcast, like eye contact with the camera, right? And I do a lot of Zoom meetings, so I'm sure you guys are doing a lot of Zoom meetings, right? Okay. Make sure you're making eye contact with that camera. And again, practice, 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 practice. That's how you're going to get good at anything. If you're not used to this, understand that the first time you do anything, you're probably not going to be good at it, right? So lower the expectation a little bit, right? Again, the first time you do anything, don't expect to be a rock star at it. But the only way that you're going to get good is by doing it over and over and over and over and over. I've done over 500 episodes now. Like, I'm pretty good at making eye contact with the camera and putting on a smile, right? So you just have to do it over and over and over and over. That's the only way you're going to get good at it, right? Anyway, I know there's a question over here.
Hi, my name is Sierra Owens. This is like my third layoff, so like far as my internal like being, I just feel like very inadequate because literally back to back, the last like since 2022, I've been laid off pretty much every year, and so I was just like, I don't know what God is wanting me to do if I just need to pivot to something totally different, but I have over 6+ years in HR, payroll management, and HRS systems. I really enjoy like simplifying, optimizing processes. I pretty much have all the experience in most of all of the HCM and HRS platforms. But I've noticed that the roles that I actually have applied for like via LinkedIn, I don't know if there's like any other like good sites that I can apply for, work using my resume. And I have started to pivot and shift and modify my resume for each actual job just to, give myself a better chance. But I've never really got much luck with the roles that I actually apply for, but I've gotten a lot of hits from my actual LinkedIn. So what I've been doing is just having more visibility and just, showing what I produce outside of my resume and just, making sure that I build that network on the LinkedIn platform. So that's what I've been trying to do, but I've probably been out of work for going on 7 months. So yeah, it's very tough. Yes. And so, yes. And so I'm also open to like permanent roles, contract work, or also fractional HR payroll opportunities.
So, hi.
Hi.
Sierra, is that right?
Yes. Sierra.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
Sienna?
to meet you. Sierra.
Sierra.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry, I can barely see her name tag from here. Sierra,
Yes.
you're not alone, and I know that doesn't help, but there's a lot of people in this room. Everyone's praying for everyone. You are not alone. I have more candidates in the last 3 years that are going on their first, second, third layoff since the pandemic. So it is just a new world. Unfortunately, corporations either don't have some of the same loyalty or they're under immense pressure from an expense standpoint. And so they're doing layoffs at an unprecedented rate. So you're not alone. I know that doesn't make you feel better, but just know it's probably not you, right? Second, I'd love to talk to you. So if you haven't talked to Thomas Edward, same with our accounting friend in the back. If you guys have not connected with Thomas Edwards Group, please come see me, grab my card, all that kind of stuff. I'd love to see if I can help you. I think you're doing some of the right things. You certainly tailoring your resume, applying on LinkedIn, all of those things are good. But really networking with the people in this room is amazing because everybody wants to help you, but also really focusing on networking with people that you know that maybe you worked for, that are employed. Yeah. That's the part that people sometimes forget. It's reaching out to those people that actually have jobs because they're going to be the ones that hear about the other jobs and can get you, hopefully resume in front of the right people. But with your skill set, from what I heard, there should be something. So it's a matter of finding a good long-term home. It's a matter of setting realistic expectations so that you get your foot in the door at the right place. But you're not alone at all. And I know that doesn't help, but it's just a different time as far as layoffs and multiple layoffs in a 3 to 5 year period.
Yes. Well,
so the good news is the stigma is gone, maybe not 100%, but the stigma is really less as far as employers who are looking at resumes and want to hear your story. If you can tell them your story and talk about layoffs, it's a little different than it was pre-pandemic.
Well, thank you so much.
I think we had another question.
There's another question back there.
Hello. So I don't know if these are questions or just FYIs. Number one, I was connected, friend of a friend, to somebody who was a recruiter, also in your space, Sarah. And she made me aware. I handed her my resume, and she's like, listen, ATS is showing a bunch of dots. I have been out of work for 8 months. So now I wonder, I even simplified it because, the columns and all that, I've been told don't do that. And so I simplified it, but it was in PDF form, and she said, go to Word. So I'm just telling everybody that if you have a chance, if you know somebody who is currently working in HR, somebody who has access to ATS, have them run it just to make sure that it's actually working. Because all those jobs that I've applied to, probably not working. Number one. Number two, I recently applied for a position that's being handled by a staffing agency or whatever. And I don't know if anybody else has had this experience, but as soon as I applied, I got a text message saying, hey, we'd like to do a over-the-phone interview. And it's completely AI. Like, there's an AI voice that asks me the questions, it records with my permission, records my answer to each question, and she's like, okay, we will be in touch. And I was like, wow. So that was a really interesting thing. So I don't know that I would call that an interview, but maybe like screening process. I'm just wondering if that's a new thing that people are seeing.
It's pretty new.
Yeah, get ready for it. How many of you have gone through something like that where you've had AI ask you questions?
Show of hands.
Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you have applied online and heard nothing back? Raise your hand. How many of you got involved with a company, started a conversation, maybe even got in the interview process, and then heard nothing back? You got completely ghosted. Okay. So what's happening is the human element is being removed. Okay? The human element is being removed from the job search process. There used to be a time and day and age where you could walk your resume in and maybe get a conversation the same day, maybe interview the same day. How many of you remember those days? Okay.
Nope.
So then this thing called the internet came in and pretty much killed that, right? And it's been getting worse and worse and worse and worse as we interject more technology, okay? So now we got AI and all this stuff coming on, right? So if that's the issue, how many of you feel like if you could have frequent conversations with those employers, with the people that work there, if you could have those conversations, you'd probably be better off and you could get to your job a lot faster? Raise your hand. Okay. So if the problem is that you're not having those conversations with people, what do we need to do? We need to solve that problem. We need to have frequent conversations with people, okay? How do you do that? Okay? This is one way, networking, yeah? How do you get the conversations online? LinkedIn, okay? How many of you have had trouble or you've reached out to a recruiter, a hiring manager, someone that's a decision maker at a company? You've reached out to that person online and you get nothing, you get crickets. Raise your hand if you're trying that approach. Okay, so what we've got to do is try a different approach, okay? Because what's happening is online, every job seeker is approaching that hiring manager. Every job seeker is approaching that recruiter, trying to get their attention, okay? So what we need to do is stand out from all the competition, okay? You need to send in some form of video communication, video comment, engage with them in a way that is going to make you stand out and grab their attention to where they literally can't ignore you, right? So I want you to take what you think you know about job search, what it was in the past, and I want you to just crumple that up, throw it away, start thinking creatively. How do you get their attention, right? That's the name of the game, okay, is awareness, attention, interest, decision, okay? At the very top is awareness. Guys, what you guys need, I'm gonna tell you right now, what you need is a marketing funnel. You need a marketing funnel. How many of you have heard that saying, you gotta sell yourself in the job search? Raise your hand if you've heard that. Okay, how many of you are literally getting that opportunity to sell yourself? You're getting it every once in a while, right? Okay, you're not getting it as often enough. The way that you get to sales is through marketing. There is no sale without marketing. You guys understand that? You don't buy a hamburger at McDonald's until you see the golden arches in the sky and understand what exit to take. Does that make sense? You need marketing. You need something that positions you as a thought leader, an expert in your field. That way, every single day, you're putting yourself out there, you're attracting, not chasing. Guys, right now, you're chasing. I hate to tell you, but you're chasing. You need to start attracting opportunities where they come to you, where you start getting inbound job leads, where they come and reach out to you and send you a DM and say, hey, Kathleen, I'd like to talk to you about this job opportunity. How many of you are getting inbound job leads where they're coming to you? Yes. Not spam, yes. And guys, that's another thing. We understand there's a lot of spam. There's a lot of things. You guys,
Spam don't count.
Use your judgment, okay? If you get that gut feeling, okay, trust it. Trust your gut feeling. And the other thing, too, is I was talking with Kathleen, and she just reminded me of this. Guys, mindset is everything in this job search. It's absolutely crucial. You can learn every strategy, tactic, jobs, interview skills. All of that goes out the window if your mindset isn't right. How many of you have had fear, anxiety, stress, anything like that go on where you're like, oh, man, this sucks? I get it. In 2009, I was let go during the Great Recession. I remember what it's like to be in your shoes. The fear, the anxiety, the stress, not knowing how you're going to pay your bills. Like, it's a lot. So you got to get this right. Today, I was having a pretty rough morning. And I was telling Kathleen, like, until I got here. Like, there are things that fill my cup. Being here is one of those. What are the things that fill your cup? What are the things that get your mindset positive? Is there music? Is it fitness? Is it, staying active? What is it? Is it volunteering? And we talk about help one person every day, right? When you volunteer and you give back, man, I tell you what, it really does fill your spirit, right? It takes the focus off of you and puts the focus on helping someone else. And also, that's a great way to meet people, build connections, solid relationships come from that, right? So don't just go to groups when you're networking and try to take. That's not networking. The definition of networking is building a collaborative relationship. So you've got to give first. You've got to see how you can make someone else's life easier. And when you do that, when you make someone else's life easier, I promise you, good things are coming, right? You reap what you sow. So sow a good seed and you'll reap a good harvest. Go help some people.
We got
right?
some questions.
Go ahead.
I want to throw out a statistic, and everybody ground yourself in your seat. If you do not know anybody at a company and you put in a blind application, what do you think your chances of getting a response back from that company are?
Almost zero.
2 to 4%. 80 to 85% of your jobs are going to come through networking. So I know it's hard to get from behind the computer and applying. Meeting people, talking to people, that's really how you get your job. So when you have that pie and you're thinking, how am I going to spend my pie? 4 to 5 hours a day networking or job apps, but the job apps are smaller than making sure you're making contact with people. Spend an hour or two studying new certifications. So when someone asks you, what are you doing? What new skills? You have it. And then at least an hour a day, as Trevor just said, helping somebody else. So redraw that pie of how you're going to spend that time. And less time looking at that screen, more time looking at faces. and talking to people. I'm a living example. Over my 40-year career, 2 jobs I applied for. Well, one I volunteered for, the U.S. Navy, okay? So that's a little bit different. Anybody know what the Navy stands for? Never again volunteer yourself, all right? Of my other career after the Navy, I only applied for 1 job. The rest of them came through networking. So I'm an example. You can be an example. We're all in this same boat. I know somebody had a question back there.
Yep. Say your name before asking your question, please.
Hi, my name is Rob Tong, and I saw news recently that was talking about an increasing scam where people like contact you on LinkedIn and then they say they want to do a Zoom interview, so they do a Zoom interview with you, and then they say, okay, well, you sound really promising. Send me all your information, your credit card, your social security card, and all this other stuff, like bank account information and stuff like that. So what tips do you have for that?
Okay, do you see all of us want the mic to help you?
Yeah.
Yes, there's an increase in spam. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is see if it's a legitimate company, see if it's a legitimate person. Is it a bot or is it a person? If it's a person, you can see their LinkedIn profile. They need to have a picture of themselves. You can typically see their work history, right? So see if it's a real person and does it make sense? Correct. There's a lot of contract recruiters right now because just like you guys, companies aren't paying recruiters, okay? So they're trying to get away with whatever they can, the cheapest they can, and they're hiring contract recruiters in some cases to do that work. So try to do your best to do your research, figure out if it is a legitimate company, figure out if it's a legitimate recruiter or HR person before you give them anything. If you're going to give them anything, my recommendation would be don't give them anything that isn't already online, right? So give them your resume, but if that is information that's already on your LinkedIn profile, you should have an email address in theory that you're using just for job search. Again, it's up to you guys, but it's easy to have an email inbox that's just for recruiting so you can see those emails. They're at the top. They don't get lost in your Gmail or in your family Gmail or in your anything else. But don't give them any information that isn't already out there. That's the quick, easy. Hold on, I'm going to pass it.
We have a question right back here.
Okay, just a second, Mike. I'm coming. We're all excited about this up. Just a second, Mike. Guys, let me tell you something. If you get something and it feels funny, you know why it feels funny? Because it is funny. So do those things just to make sure. Do those things that Sarah just mentioned. But more than likely, probably close to 99% of the time, it's funny. And you don't need to let them have your pertinent information and stuff like that. So just like she said, don't go giving them a bunch of stuff. I know you guys know this, but it's always good to hear this stuff, guys. You're not the only people that are going through this. Okay.
Real quick, I want to add to that. Guys, use AI, use ChatGPT, right? Put that information into ChatGPT, that company, whatever the correspondence is, if it's email, the person's name, their LinkedIn profile, put that into ChatGPT, have it do deep research. There's a button on there called deep research. Have it do deep research. It will tell you. You know how many times I've done that? I get spam crap too, okay? Sometimes I get opportunities that come my way. It's like, I don't know. My gut's kind of saying this might not be the real deal, right? Put that into ChatGPT and have it look it up for you and do the deep research. You don't need to do the research yourself. There's a tool out there that will do that for you. Make sense?
Just a point of levity. You all know me as the pit crew guy. Actually, last month I got an email from Dickies. They wanted to hire me to work in their pit crew.
Okay, Mike Belzo.
Yeah, one last thing I would say, just because I got 2 of those messages this morning, I'm sure many of you have, as the spammers get more sophisticated, they're basically scraping legitimate recruiters for big companies and putting them in. So if you get an email from a recruiter that has a gmail.com address, it's like it's a spammer. So just look for some of these little hacks because they're getting more sophisticated.
Great information.
Okay. Isn't there a follow-up over there? Okay.
Wait for the mic, please.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that it's not like spam, but it's like an actual person who says, I work for this legitimate company, and they actually do interview you, and then they say at the end, oh, we're gonna hire you, we're giving you this offer, you just need to send us your social security number, like all this other stuff to get us started on the process. And so, like, it's not like where they're just sending you an email or a text message, a DM on LinkedIn. It's more that they're actually taking the time to interview you. The interview questions are like legit questions and all that stuff, where it seems like it's an actual interview. And so I think the Gmail thing is a good thing to check for whether this person, this recruiter is really from that company or not. But I'm just saying, like, they're not just sending you a text and saying, hey, send me your stuff. It's
Right.
not that simple. It's a little more like
And Elizabeth, you can share, and my HR leaders in the room, y'all can share, but spending a lot of time on the corporate HR side, I can say you shouldn't have to submit a social security number or anything like that until a formal application with the company. And a lot of times they don't do that until you're at offer stage. And it certainly shouldn't just be some crazy link that isn't through a corporate website, et cetera, et cetera. So there's still ways, if it feels fishy, if it feels funny, it probably is. And to this gentleman's point also, yes, they're getting more sophisticated, exactly. Everybody's gonna get more sophisticated. It's just like, cyber security. You gotta, the coders are getting more fishy, so the people that are blocking them have to get more, skilled. But you should not have to give your social security number until a final stage of an application, and that should be a very formal process. And really, that's just for the background check. So typically, you may not even need to do that for the application. It may need to be on the background check, and you can deny all of that and tell them no until you've got an offer in hand.
I wouldn't give them my social security number until they were ready to pay me. So it's after the offer letter, and when they bring me in to onboard me, we can do the paperwork with my social security number. And also, whenever I get an email that I don't immediately recognize legitimate because I've been dealing with them, I always hover over the from. And if it's Gmail, Outlook, or 18 characters long, it goes right into the trash pile.
Yeah, I get emails once a week from Cliff Edwards, the founder of Thomas Edwards Group, from all sorts of random email addresses that are clearly not Cliff Edwards. So they're very sophisticated now.
Yeah. For a second, I've got one thing. I want to shift the gears a little bit. We've done a good job hitting on this, but Trevor introduced me probably 3 years ago, maybe even longer, to a new idea, and it's still kind of new because I don't know if we're really, I don't hear a lot of people talking about this, but me and Trevor. But guys, we know it's important to write a thank you letter when we have had that interview and we're still interested in that job. If you're not interested in the job, bye. But yes, still send it, yes. But check this out. Maybe you guys want to do a thank you letter on video. Now, I'm going to hand this mic to Trevor because he does a good job because he introduced this idea to me and to many, many other people. I still think it's a wonderful idea.
Absolutely, thank you. So I was just talking with somebody here earlier about this today. The idea originally came when I was just doing my business, and I was looking for a way to humanize the communication, right? Guys, think about it today. We have so many ways to communicate, so many ways. But most of those are what? It's black and white text. You're text messaging, you're emailing, you're commenting, you're doing all these things. It's all black and white text. And now, think about this. We've got AI. You don't even know if you're talking to a human, right? The AI is that good that you don't even know if you're really talking to a human on the other end. It's all black and white text. How do you stand out? What are you doing that differentiates yourself from all the other candidates who are in the running for that job, right? When you send in a email in black and white text, you just fit in the box with everyone else, okay? Everyone else is gonna send that same black and white text email that you're gonna send in saying, thank you for the time, the opportunity, all that. You're gonna send that in, boom. And they're gonna get 10 of those, and they're gonna delete them, okay? Not saying don't do that. What I'm saying is stand out, take it to the next level. There's a tool out there called BombBomb, okay? B-O-M-B. And it's a video communications platform that allows you to send in a video email that's actually embedded in the email. It's HTML code. So it's not, you're not sending an attachment. You're not, how many of you ever tried to send a video as a MP4 attachment? Have you ever done that before? You tried to send it? The file's too big, okay? And they're not gonna open the file. And also, don't send them a link, okay? A lot of people I say, well, I could upload it to YouTube and then send them a YouTube link. No, don't do that either. They're not gonna click on the link, okay? This video is embedded into the email itself as HTML code. You see it when you open it up, and there's your face, right? Smiling. What I recommend is you put their name on a little whiteboard, okay? It's gonna sound cheesy, but it works, okay? You put their name, you write it on a little whiteboard, and you flash it at the camera. And that window has a GIF. How many of you know what a GIF is? All right, it like loops the first 3 seconds, okay? So as I flash my name, or their name at the camera, they see their name, my face. Their name, my face, okay? Curiosity killed the cat. They absolutely are going to press play, okay? Now you've got a 30 to 45 seconds to really grab their attention. And you wanna lead with gratitude. You're gonna say, hey, thank you so much, Susan, for the time. Really appreciate you spending the time with me. I got to learn a lot about Toyota and the company culture, and I'm super excited about the opportunity. I can't wait to learn more. If you need any information, my contact info is down below, but I hope you don't mind if I reach out to you in about a week, okay? That's gonna show them that you're interested in the job, you're excited about the role, you led with gratitude, and you're doing something that's different from everyone else. And what happens, what we see when you do this, is you actually get analytics. Wouldn't it be nice to know if an employer is looking at you? Like, you actually get to see every single time they press play on that video, okay? And what happens is that video email starts to get forwarded to other people in the company. They're wowed by it. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Trevor did that. Hey, Tom, look what Trevor just did. This is crazy. I've never seen this before. Have you seen this before? No, I've never seen that before. Boom. Hey, Bob, look what Trevor did. Boom. All of a sudden, your email is getting forwarded all around that company. You're going viral within the company. We see the average video plays are 15 times per video. Okay? When I first started teaching it, it was complete concept. Complete concept. I was like, hey, it's working for me in my business. Why wouldn't it work for you? I started teaching job seekers this strategy, and what came back was incredible. I actually got featured by Forbes for this strategy because of how it was making an impact during COVID. You know how many thousands of people I helped get jobs during COVID with that one single strategy? The problem with it is it's uncomfortable for a lot of you to do. I could teach this whole room how to do it, and only probably 10% of the room would actually take action and do it. So the interesting part about it is those 10% are the ones that are gonna get results. Does that make sense? Because they're doing what the other 90 won't do. You gotta do what other people aren't willing to do to get the result that they're not gonna get. Does that make sense? So if you wanna learn more about that, guys, the card on your table, come see me in my Career Transition Summit. I'll help you with it, because I know it's uncomfortable. I'll help you with that. Go ahead.
Well, I have two comments on this, and first one is, this is William McLaughlin again, by the way. My first comment is that there's other video tools out there that are actually free, unlike BombBomb. I hate to break that to you. I know, because like Bonjoro is an example of one that actually has a free version that'll do everything you need it to.
Yep.
And also, and my second
Loom. There's other free tools, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, guys, do your research on the tools, but what I will tell you, okay, is that you get what you pay for, and free is not always better. Okay, I want you to know that. Not everything free is better. Now, I get it. You're in a career transition. It's a financial transition. I totally understand. Every penny is important, but you know, some things are an investment in yourself. Okay, understand that. But go ahead.
But my second comment about this is I heard from someone before that sending these video emails may actually it may not actually work because, like, at least if you're trying to send it to a company email, because I had heard from someone, I'm not going to say who, a lot of company emails actually block video or actually pre-programmed to block video emails from coming into them.
That's only if it's usually an MP4, not necessarily HTML.
Yeah, might want to say that so everyone can hear it.
Okay, I'm gonna get in trouble because I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna go to break. Now, when we come back, we want to pick this up. And people that are here for the first time, remember that we're gonna have an orientation. That guy John back there, John Loose, back in the back, not tight but loose, is that's my little inside joke for him. Is going to put you guys through a wonderful orientation if you're here for the first time. Now, John Machinsky, don't ask me how to spell that Machinsky stuff, but he's right back there. And you remember when he was talking, some of you guys might want to talk to him about the WIOA program. You might want to talk about some other training that he has. We're going to take a quick break, and I want you guys to go and talk to John if you're that person that's like, hey, I got to get over there and talk to that guy in that purple shirt over there. So we're going to take another little break, guys. You guys know where the restrooms are by now. And then we'll be back probably 10 after, 10-ish after. You'll hear my voice again. And then I'll be sending you off to visit with John Loose.